It's
This is your
showtime.
five-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Owen Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, our virtual restaurant where the cuisine's always about California politics, and the main entree is, of course, the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. This is going to be an amazing show, and we have a lot to tell you in studio tonight. I've got two very amazing people. We'll get to them in a second, but Oren, I want to kind of start with you a little bit. How you doing tonight, brother?
It's showtime.
Well, wait, you didn't do that right. You got to do it like Beetlejuice. It's showtime because the election is coming up, isn't it?
It is. You know, over the last week, I have anguished over one of the most difficult documents I've ever created in my lifetime. Happy to do it. It was a labor of love, but it was extremely difficult given the parameters that I had to work with.
Well, we're actually going to spend part of the show on that. But before we get there, Oren, because what we put together is, and it's the first time Oren's ever had to do, and he did a good job of blending and fusing cuisines. What we had to put together was what will be seen literally. Oren, I'm going to tell you this now because this may have not occurred to you. But do you know what you put together, what is going to be on the ballot, is going to be mailed to and seen by over 18 million people in California? Did you know that?
That's quite, that is quite an audience. And, you know, I think it doesn't, what I put together doesn't do justice to the job that we have to do, though. It just doesn't do justice. They didn't give us enough words. There was too much information to absorb.
Well, that's because we were limited to 500 words, and you can't say in 500 words all the things that Gavin's done in that state. But I want to get back to that. For those of you out there that don't know, you can also watch us live as we fuse cuisines, I like to say. We're streaming on Facebook. We're on YouTube. If you want to see, and in case you're wondering who that handsome guy is, no, it's not Oren. No, it's not me. I'm very proud to be accompanied in the studio tonight by a radio legend. Frank, introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about your background.
All right. Well, this is Motec on Money, right? Frank Motec. We just had Motec on Money between 6 and 7 this evening here on 790 KABC. So it's an honor to be with you and here on the station. I've been doing this for a long time, covering business news here in Southern California for many, many years. Before that, worked with Paul Kangas on the Nightly Business Report, and they remember me also from Channel 5 here doing the morning business updates back when Bob McCormick was on as well. And let's see, also on some of the other TV stations, but covering business for many, many years and supporting small business folks, restaurant owners, including the great Angela Marsden, who's with us, who was on my program last night, reacting to the big news here regarding the mask requirements being reestablished here in Los Angeles County. So, Angela, you're a hero as far as I'm concerned, and you're terrific.
Oh, thank you. I don't see it that way, but I appreciate you so much. I just feel like we all need to start talking. We all need to speak as loud as we can so that people understand what's actually being done to the small businesses in Southern California. It's pretty dire at this point, in my opinion.
So, Mike, I appreciate your saving us a table for two here this evening.
And that's kind of our theme tonight. Oren, and I want to be clear here, this virtual restaurant, Oren, the reason I've called in these folks tonight, the theme of our show is money. And we've run, as everybody knows, this campaign, well, it's beyond a shoestring. I've gone to actually the slip-on. So everybody remember, this is sponsored by RecallGavin2020.com. But the theme tonight is really what Frank's going to talk about is a lot of economics, what Newsom has done I'm going to say on a macro level a little bit because you're way smarter than me in economics. And Angela was going to go, of course, into small business and how it affects things. But before we even get there, some big breaking news this week that we were involved in, Orrin, before we get too
Drum
far
roll,
ahead of
please.
ourselves, a drum roll, please, is, Pink Floyd, kind of in the theme of tonight's show, had an album called Dark Side of the Moon, and the hit was Money. That's the theme of tonight's show. But they have my favorite album title of all time called A Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is actually kind of Newsom's defense why he forgot to put the D in his name. He's like, well, I just kind of forgot. And last Friday, we talked about the court case was in the morning, but what happened Monday, thanks to Eric Early, the Early and Sullivan team, Orrin and I filed, and Orrin,
The early warning team.
the early warning team, we won. Newsom and everybody out there understand that Newsom's defense, A Momentary Lapse of Reason, still one of my favorite LPs, which was basically, Orrin, their defense, wasn't it? We forgot, and I'm the governor, and I should be allowed to break the law.
Wow.
Newsom has been denied.
That's right. And everybody out there, when we talk about things, when we talk about Gavin Newsom, how he's oppressed Californians, this is literally how arrogant our governor is. And everybody out there, if you're not quite familiar with what we're talking about, and Frank, I know you follow this because you follow every little bit of news, right? Is
Yes.
that Gavin on a week ago Monday said, look, the election sped up, but I forgot to put the proper piece of paperwork in for a law I signed for people to know that I'm a Democrat, in case they've forgotten. So Newsom, of course, asked his friend Shirley Weber, can you make an exception? Shirley Weber, to whose credit, did the right thing. Gavin, of course, did what any good governor would do. He sued himself. Not technically, but almost literally. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, sued the Secretary of State because he feels that so many Californians, in a way he might be right, I hate to say, pay so little attention to the workings of this state, they would not know that Gavin's a Democrat. Frank, you want to weigh in on that a little bit? Because I'm interested in getting a radio professional's, real professional's opinion on.
Well, Mike Netter, thank you for including me on your great program here tonight. Well, let's just take a look at the latest headlines. I just pulled up the latest on the California economy, and this will probably give you a good feel for what's going on. Experts say California's economy will not recover until 2024. COVID job market. California unemployment claims fall slightly, stay far worse than normal. Data undercut governor's roaring back claim on California's economy. And waiters, California's economy is recovering, but roaring back hardly. That's just the very latest news that we're pulling right
Wow.
off the wires here, and that's the very latest, Mike.
Yeah, Kyle Matters even said, it's kind of two things on that subject this week, which really roll down to the restaurant business that we'll get to, is Cal Matters even said, look, same thing you've been saying, Orrin, look, we've got a lot of deficits we're not paying off. The reality is Gavin's throwing money around that we don't have. We're $1 trillion, isn't that correct, Orrin, in pension debt?
No. We're $1 trillion plus in unfunded bond debt or bond expenditures. We're $93 billion in unfunded pension debt.
Most of the people I talk to that are not like, they were like me before. I had to come knocking on my door for me to wake up,
Mhm.
right, and be involved. They think that we have a surplus. Like literally people go, no, California's doing great. We have a surplus.
There is no surplus.
Frank, did you see the comment by Jerry Brown this week?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Jerry Brown actually said, and by the way, I hate to say this, but Gavin Newsom makes Jerry Brown look like Ronald Reagan. But Jerry Brown actually commented, and you saw this because I sent you the article, that what Gavin is doing is fiscally unsustainable and will blow up in a couple years. And
Well, Mike,
go ahead, Orrin.
as a small business owner, Angela knows more than anybody
Right.
what it's like to operate on a deficit budget, on credit. And, when you operate your business and you run it and you run your credit cards up just to make the next month's bills. Angela, is that sustainable? Especially if you take everything that you earned for the next month and you spend it irresponsibly.
No, I mean, you're talking to, I'm a very rare, I guess, in the world of business, meaning that when I did take over the bar, I can bartend, I can wait tables. I think the first 3 years, I didn't even take a manager's salary. I lived off bartending pay. And that's because of a ridiculous law that we have that nobody really knows about, which is, whenever you take over a bar, if you keep 51% of the staff or more, you inherit the old owner's workman's comp insurance. And that works as like a driver's license. So the people before me didn't have experience. I inherited their workman comp record because I kept 51% of the staff, which means I was paying $4,000 a month in premiums and had to work 2 years without paying myself as a bartender just so that I could pay the insurance and keep the staff that I kept because I didn't want to let them go. I try to pay cash for everything, which means I drive a Hyundai Sonata 2005. I live in a rent-controlled apartment. And I don't make a lot of money every year because I don't want to run up credit card debt. Most people do live credit to credit, as you're saying. And that's where I found myself last year for the first time taking out a disaster loan and living off of it only to be shut down and looking at, filing bankruptcy and closing. And for me, what I was afraid of before the mask mandate is a clear sign for me that we're going to be getting shut down, period. That's just how I see it because I've had to watch and read the tea leaves for over a year now. But most of the business owners I'm talking to, even though they're an hour wait, they are breaking even or making a few $1,000s a month or taking a loss, which means without the grants, the revitalization grants, they would not be sustaining. So I was I'm already trying to tell people in a year when the money runs out, the revitalization money, which a lot of people didn't even get. What is the incentive, first of all, for you to run a business where you can't have a quality life, where you take all the liability, you employ people within the community only for them to sue you. And there's, it's like a rear end thing. You can't even fight it because it costs so much money. There's a lot more businesses, if we do not get shut down again, that will be going out of business once that money runs out.
After we go to a brief interview, Frank,
where the state is right now.
Right, and after we roll through our commercial break, if you will, Frank, that's a micro point of view, and that's what we want to hear tonight. And Frank, I want to get your opinion after the break on really from, just the fear of a mask mandate, what it does to businesses and the economy in general. But before we do, hide the children, cover your ears, get ready, because it's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC, all the way from the international border, up to Oregon, streaming live, recall, Gavin2020.com.
I had Pandolindo gatherings, just a prime example of a really big hypocrisy. You don't understand.
Wow, what a show opening. That was great.
Well, we're getting close to the deadline, September 14th. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes, definitely.
Is that Ellen Watella that I hear in the background?
I'm here, Mr. Oren.
Ellen, good to see you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure you were going to be able to make it tonight, but God bless. Thank you so much for joining us. Who's that with you on the table?
That is Fidget.
Fidget. Ellen's got a bunch of little kitty cats that are out there keeping her yard mice free.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oren,
So,
do you remember a year back in February when I was starting to talk about pensions?
yes, I do.
Yeah, so that's something that Californians don't think about. That's still owed debt is the pension.
Absolutely. But boy, I'll tell you what, as soon as I heard Frank start speaking, I think I was swooned. My God. that man has a voice.
Yes, he
just
does.
comes in booming. And I'm like, oh man, we're okay. We're little league on the big league field right now. That's cool.
Right.
I'm good with that. But, you know, I've always said that Mike and I have a face made for radio, but Frank is a handsome young man with a face for media and a voice for radio, right?
Yeah. So we got a message here from Sam saying, hey, Ellen, even my cat hates Gavin Newsom.
My cats all hate Gavin. They want him to go. They want me to play with them. I'm busy working.
And that answers Sam's question. Does your cat too?
They hate Gavin because it takes away time from me.
So, Ellen, you've been busy working all day. What you been working on?
Well, I've been moving around merchandise today. I'm getting ready. Tomorrow morning, I'll be making deliveries to Fresno and Madera. I'll be meeting my Fresno team, and they will be dispersing materials, yard signs, magnets, door hangers, trifolds, you name it. I still have some flags, and they have events coming up this weekend in Fresno. We have them all up down the valley this weekend. Everything from booths to flag waves to fundraisers. So we're just getting out there and getting the word spread that we got to get this guy voted out.
So Mike and I just got an invite to be at an event in Anaheim tomorrow. I made emergency arrangements to go down there and rush to be down in, what's that?
We're going back on.
Mater Dean Mike Nutter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant where it's always about California politics and the recall of Gavin Newsom. Everybody out there, as you listen tonight, I want you to start thinking and call in soon in about 15 minutes and tell us really how this mask mandate is going to affect you. You've got Angela and Frank Motek here to ask questions of along, myself and Orrin Heatley, but I want you to tell us how you feel at the sudden slap in the face again. That I realize it's LA County, but let's not forget, we always talk a little bit about what Gavin has done. We don't talk sometimes about things he could do and doesn't do. He never suspended AB5. He doesn't stop counties from doing things that suppress the economy. The number here is 1-800-222-5222. That's 1-800-222-5222. Frank, I want to get your opinion while we've got you, because I know you're only here for part of the show, on as you watch the stock market and the headlines and where the economy is an amalgamation of small businesses. What do you see in the short term about something like the mask mandate doing to the California economy?
Well, first of all, when you say it's just LA County, by the way, LA County is the second largest economy in the Western Hemisphere. In fact, the third largest in the world behind New York and Tokyo. LA County is big. We often forget about that, but the fact is that's how big we are. So what we do here is certainly being watched around the world. And as restrictions go up, the economy goes down, as we saw last year. So big concerns among LA business people, especially among small business people heading into this weekend, as I mentioned on my program here this evening after this latest order, which, by the way, runs contrary to the CDC order, right? Or the CDC indication that if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. So a lot of uncertainty now is also weighing on business owners here, and how long this order will stay in place. Whether this new surge in COVID cases, mostly among the unvaccinated, will lead to a return of additional restrictions, capacity limits, indoor dining restrictions, and so forth. So restaurant owners are especially concerned, including Angela, who's with us here, and other restaurant owners that I talked to, spoke to our friends at El Floridita this evening, the Cuban restaurant, and you might have heard what he had to say. And this weighs very heavily on the minds of small business owners here, especially the restaurant folks. And I wish Angela all the strength in the world to get through this latest episode here.
Thank you. Thank
Angela, I've got a quick question for Orrin before we flip back to you here. Hey, Orrin?
Right here with you, Mike.
All right. As a retired sheriff and law enforcement, I'm curious because and you mentioned this last time, Angela, you were on our show about the homeless and things that go on around your restaurant. do you not see more crime go up as the economy goes down and there's more boarded up buildings? I know when I went down Melrose a few weeks ago, I mean, it's frightening how it looks.
You're taking your life in your own hands.
Is that generally what you see, Warren? Is it, the more unemployment and boarded up communities? I know you talked about that hotel before, just kind of leads to more bad things, doesn't it?
Well, I think that, and, then you amplify that fact with the point that this governor has released 20,000 criminals and unleashed them back into society.
Yeah.
And now he's pledged to unleash another 76,000 criminals. And these are hardened repeat offenders. These are the people that should be in prison, that should stay in prison and serve out their sentence, because when the governor circumvents the judicial system and the criminal system, and he imposes his own will on the people, he is perpetuating an injustice on those victims who've already been victimized by these people who are going to get off easy. They had a sense of justice during their court. It was traumatic for them, and whether they lost a loved one or they lost property or they suffered damages at the hand of another, justice was served when the gavel fell. This governor is undermining all of that process on his own, and he's releasing these prisoners early without due process. And it's just re-victimizing everybody that all over again.
That, in my opinion, and I this may be taking a step too far, but if you drive the getaway car in a robbery, right? Don't you go to prison for aiding and abetting? This governor is aiding and abetting criminals, and it is absolutely criminal. And this touches a chord with me because on my Nextdoor app, obviously I'm involved in watching over my neighborhood. That's what you do as a small business owner. You take part in your neighborhood. They had put out, there was a gentleman who had been released, who had been already caught wandering in 3 different houses in my neighborhood. The last one, he was stark naked in a little girl's room. He's been arrested 72 times. Jeez. And they released him again, the great DA we have going on in LA. And they're putting it on Nextdoor app to tell all of us to be aware and be safe. And they actually took a snapshot of his record and put it on the Nextdoor app so we would know who this person is. That was just 2 days ago.
It's interesting because the amalgamation of the state, right? Like Frank is giving us what I call macro statistics. I'll go back to that in 1 second.
Yeah.
All these little incidences, et cetera. And I think it's so sad how detached our governor is. Frank, I read a real interesting statistic this week as Orrin and I were crafting, if you will, our argument for the ballot coming up, which, by the way, September 14th, everybody out there, it's coming soon to your house. You know what I found fascinating, Frank, is that U.S. News and World Report puts out this, state rankings every year. And they rank 7 different factors. And one of the factors they rank is what's called environment, which is a combination of natural and sociological environment. We'll probably put it up on our website at recallgavin2020.com. The fascinating part is 2019, when Gavin entered office, we ranked 5th on kind of how people felt about the state. In 2021, 5th of all the states. We ranked 27th overall, crapping a lot of things. But overall, Gavin went in, I feel good about the air. I feel good about the way it's going. 2021, we ranked 35th. That's how people feel. And I think, doesn't that, Frank, determine how people spend their money and go about their lives, just how they feel about the economy in general?
Certainly. And we got the latest consumer confidence reading out today at a 5-month low. So that's probably the biggest thing that impacts the economy, consumer spending, which is the bulk of the economy here in the United States. So we watch those consumer confidence readings very, very closely. So you're onto something there. But The latest reading we got today from the Reuters University of Michigan survey shows nationwide consumer confidence has reversed to the lows we've seen in 5 months.
You know, I don't know
Wow.
what you're talking about. I wonder if they ever break it out what consumer confidence is in California and how something like the mask mandate really affects consumer confidence. Because I would think California would drag it down, being the fact we're 12% of the population.
Yeah, you know, things move so quickly. Anecdotally, certainly it's got to. I mean, just listen to this conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And among the business people we had on this evening earlier, and what Angela's saying certainly pulls a lot of weight. So things are moving so fast these days that we have to turn to anecdotal talk and, you know, just impressions here because things are moving so fast.
Well, I think that's important because what Frank said is important because I've said this often for those of you listening tonight that are new, not familiar with the recall. Between social media and all the in the news, which is an always reported, shall we say accurately, not of course by you, Frank, but some of the other outlets, shall we say. What was amazing about the recall, and Orrin, we've talked about this a lot of times, is people were able to get together, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, as we assembled the 2.1 million signatures and talk anecdotally about what they wanted their state to be. I've said this often on stage. Politics is generally a grumpy sport. People are like, the recall of the governor. You see these politicians up there with frowns, etc. What was amazing is everywhere I went, as we gathered the 2.1 million signatures, people did this with joy. And it wasn't joy because of the state of California is in. It was joy because they were able to go out and express themselves and talk about what's wrong. And things do move fast and things do move quickly. And that's why I think it's to our advantage that the elections moved up quickly. Angel,
Yeah.
want to make a quick comment on that before?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I definitely don't want to stray off the mask mandate because it not only creates fear, a lot of fear. My manager that works for me, she had COVID. It was very hard on her. She got the vaccine. She's now having panic attacks because she's like, I'm vaccinated. What do you mean? I can get it again? I mean, I literally sat at my bar with five different people of 5 different beliefs, races, everything. And, you know, I kept getting the questions of, I don't understand this, Angela. Does this, that means I can get it after I've been vaccinated? So then why did I take a chance with this, you know, unknown vaccine if I can get it? And like every single person was panicked of some sort of fear. You know what I mean? Of the fear like me, this is the tea leaves that they're going to shut us down, or fear, I've gotten the vaccination. Now you're telling me I have to wear a mask. It's claustrophobic and I'm supposed to not be able to get it. I don't understand. And this is just 5, which is what I love about the pub is the sampling of the people. But I want to say one thing, and I always want to try to remember to say this, you know, I have a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream that it's not the blood in the crypts. It's not red and blue. It's that people come out and start listening to the people that are running, regardless of their party, and doing the investigations as much as they can to find people with heart that care and put them in office and do not have apathy. Because I've talked to some people, Mike, business owners, and I'm like, you know, just tell everybody they got to vote. They got to vote. And they're like, well, I don't know if there's many choices and he's never going to get out of office. And I said, stop. Do not say that. I said, say, even if you don't want to vote for anybody else, just go and hit recall.
And I think that's an important point. We tell everybody, look, one of the reasons consumer confidence is down, things like the mask mandate, and we're telling people they need to get out there and vote, is because Gavin doesn't have a plan. People don't like uncertainty, right, Frank? We'll get back to you in 1 second, but they just don't like uncertainty. You don't know to buy a car. I don't know if to go out to eat. I don't know what I'm paying employees. Gavin is a poor governor with a poor management system. Look, everybody out there, I'm going to tell you this. Whatever happens, you have to vote, and you have to vote yes. California needs a change.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
We're coming back at you because remember, this is, everybody stand back. It's Friday Nights at the the French Laundry says, KABC, we need your money to keep the voice of the people on the air. Recall Gavin2020.com.
Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donated? Sir, we saw you at a party.
It wasn't me.
Eating at the French Laundry.
It wasn't me.
You even had
AM 790.
Yabba dabba dabba doo.
Yabba dabba doo doo doo. But yeah, so folks, it doesn't matter who you vote for. Make sure you vote to recall Gavin. That's the main number one thing to do.
If you're planning a trip to Las Vegas.
100%. And I'll tell you what, so our entire team have been agonizing over this argument to recall the governor. There's been a lot of input coming in from a lot of different angles, and piecing that all together in one puzzle, bringing all these different puzzles together and making one picture was extremely difficult. One of the hardest things that I've ever had to do is screen through the overburden of all of the information that came in, and then try and splice and weave that fabric into one document in such a constrained environment, 500 words.
That sounds like my 15-minute segments.
Kevin Kiley wrote an entire book on what we summed up in 500 words, and there's a lot of input that came in. A lot of input came in from Rescue California, from Dave Juilliard, from Susan and Robin, and I can't name all of the sources that input just flowed into this document. But the hardest thing to ever do is to cull the herd and cut the argument, cut some things out that you think is important that should be in there, like the controversial sex education curriculum.
Yeah.
The signing of SB 145 that made the sentences lighter and the reporting requirements lighter for certain sexual penalties.
Yes.
It just there's so much. You have his mismanagement of the gas tax. That's not in there. But what do? You take what the uninformed public needs to hear and you feed them that information that's going to draw them in.
Yeah.
So the informed public, you, me, Ellen, Susan, Robin, Mike, and the team, we all know what those arguments are, what the many, many arguments are, and how solid they are. We can build a case to recall this governor around COVID without mentioning COVID, the vaccine, or the French Laundry. I want to make a case that he could be recalled just because he released the 20,000 prisoners and the injustices that he did there. I want to make the case that he released a majority of the firefighting crews and eliminated that resource as we're entering a new fire season. I want to make the case that he hasn't done anything to help build our water infrastructure and help provide, drinkable, potable water to the state. Not one dime, but he's poured billions. I mean, if you took just the amount of money lost in his unemployment scandal and put that towards our water infrastructure, that would have carried us into the next 2 generations.
Yeah.
Ellen,
Wow.
your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts. I'm just thinking that we started recalling him in 2019, long before we even knew what COVID was. So I think it's important for us up until September 14th to really focus on those reasons that caused us to want to recall him in the beginning,
Friday night
because
at the French
we
Laundry.
don't want to argue the
Bringing you
COVID
tonight
stuff.
A better California with
Great show.
Oren Heathley and Mater Dean Mike Netter.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant. Let's be clear on something. The recall is made up of an enormous number of parts. Orrin, the people on the air, but when we do things like put together the argument, as we like to call it, on the ballot, when we have people out there merchandise on the street, we have people like Tim Holiday, like Ellen, we have Robin, Susan on our executive committee, Dan, the tech scene. I want to be very clear here that the recall is a blending of everybody. It's great to have Frank with us tonight talking about macro, Angelo talking about micro, if you will, in the restaurant. But what we've done is, I think, an amazing job in the recall is blending everything together. I want to be perfectly clear, to kind of quote Nixon off the wall here. It's amazing for anybody out there. And I know, Frank, you're a little bit more mainstream press, if you will. You've been around a lot longer, and you probably heard a while back, well, it's so easy, to get 2 million signatures out of the state of 40 million. Really? Y'all want to try it? Let me tell you, LA Times, let me tell you, Sacramento Bee, and we like you guys. But for everybody out there that said that think it's easy for Angela to go in and deal with those customers every day, for people that are out there, if they think it's easy for what Orrin did, blending what Susan, Robin, and all these other folks think into one document in 500 words, it's not easy. And God bless us that we're here today, and we're here today because of one person and one person only. And Orrin, who's that person?
Gavin Newsom.
Whether you like it or not, it's Gavin. Because I keep saying, everybody out there, all the things that we talk about, remember, we have a chance to take California back because of one man and one man only. It's against California.
We have nobody to thank, and he has nobody else to blame but himself.
Yep. That's for sure.
It's amazing. It really is. And for everybody out there, for this election coming up, Frank, you report a lot on statistics, right? On things coming and going, headlines, etc. And there's so many headlines. What I like about you is like what you said there tonight. You kind of read not the mainstream headlines, but things that you don't see in the front page of the LA Times because they get to kind of control the narrative. What do you think the mask mandate, I know it's just your opinion, is, let me rephrase that. What do you think Gavin's leadership is going to do in the long run, say in the next 6 months, to the economy of California? Just your opinion.
Well, he says it's roaring back, and it's not roaring back, for one thing, based on the numbers that we've been looking at. And as was noted this past week, the state lost nearly 3 million jobs after the business shutdowns in March of last year, and we've only recovered about half of them. The unemployment rate's still pretty much twice what it was before the shutdowns, and the third highest of any state. So as far as claims of roaring back here, unfortunately, that is not the case. And obviously, with the business climate as it is, with the tax situation, I talked to Dr. Arthur Laffer this past week, President Reagan's top economic advisor, and he said, obviously, if state A raises taxes and state B lowers taxes, people are going to go to state B. And that's also a big consideration. So taxes, regulation, business climate, business friendliness, now more in focus than ever before.
But we've only got Frank for a short period here, Orrin. So, Orrin and Angela, I've got another question for you that I was amazed at as we researched all of the statistics for the so-called argument this week. The U.S. Census, like we were talking about before the show, right? Blah, 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 goes out every 10 years and does their thing. And some adjustments were made by, what is it, Orrin, the Political Policy Institute? Do I have that name correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. We're the largest state in the union, the largest population. 17.6% of our population lives at or below the poverty level, and the Political Policy Institute made a correction and said near the poverty level, 33% of Californians are at or near the poverty level. Frank, in your experience, is that amazing, or is this something we've just grown accustomed to over the years? Or
I think giving credit to California Policy Institute.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's something that's not widely known or publicized, but I'm not surprised at all. I remember speaking to Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy, some time ago, who's told me he doesn't invest in California real estate because he said California is a great place to be poor.
Interesting. Why do you think he said that?
Well, because people that have any money are being taxed heavily, and with the state income tax, of course, and the sales tax being as high as it is. So, and a lot of the money goes to programs to help the poor. So that's why he said that.
So isn't it fascinating? Oren, do you want to weigh in on that? I'm blown away by that figure. I almost have no words for once. And that figure has gotten worse under Gavin Newsom. So when they talk about the economy roaring back and thinks that Gavin's going to give some people $600, but let's not forget that $600 really goes to people at or below the technical poverty line in California. Because Frank, to your point, it's so expensive to live here. I'm just blown away by the fact that what should be the richest state in the union, that has some of the best weather, the most beautiful beaches, and an economy when I was a young man had manufacturing jobs, had places for people to work. And now it just doesn't.
Yeah. Well, consider this. What's the homeless number for Los Angeles area is what, about almost 70,000 now or so?
Mm-hmm.
That number is larger than the population of most cities in Los Angeles County. Population of Beverly Hills, for example, is 35,000 residents. So when you think about the homeless population here, which is the official number, probably much higher, you got a whole city, some of the largest cities in Los Angeles County, a population similar to Torrance, or, so that's what we're looking at.
You
here.
no longer have homeless camps, you have homeless communities. And Mike, homeless.
Yeah, homeless cities, absolutely. And I'd like to know more, Frank. I'm all the way up here in Sacramento. We have a statewide show. We're actually broadcast nationwide on the, the Facebook and YouTube and all that good stuff. But I'd like to know more about your show. Where can people come to listen to Frank Motek? And tell us about your show and where can I tune in to listen to you live?
That's very generous of you. With your permission, Mike, may I?
Of course, because it's easy. You're on right before us.
That's it. Yeah. So we're on 790 KABC here in Los Angeles. So you can stream us as well as pull up the podcast on demand. So demand it now, get it now. Motek on Money on the KABC on the website 790 KABC. So it's Frank Mottek, and for example, you'll be able to hear Angela on my show yesterday, Angela Marsden. As well as our wrap up of the market today. And also we talked to somebody in the cruise industry, which is struggling to come back, especially out of California, since California didn't join many of the lawsuits there in support of the cruise industry. So things are moving very, very slowly as far as getting that industry back going again here out of the port of LA and Long Beach. But I appreciate the chance to mention that. So Motek on Money on 790 KABC.
Frank is an encyclopedia.
I just want to say, Mike, you and I both have a face for radio, but Frank and Angela, they're amazing. And, I think that you guys need to branch out and do your podcast to where people can see you in your full glory, because you truly are, Frank, you're as handsome as your voice booms across the radio. And Angela, the same, just as beautiful as you sound.
Thanks, Oren.
Hey, Oren, how am I supposed
Thank you.
to take that?
Mike, just like I said, behind the scenes, behind the curtains, and in the shadows.
I have a question, Frank, and this is, again, I always feel like maybe my questions are a little outrageous, but since you're here and I'm excited, I can ask someone of your knowledge, with your knowledge.
You can get back at me for last night's interview with you.
I'm a big proponent for, and a lot of my fellow restaurateurs have literally given up on it because nobody was for it or would help them. The minimum wage, okay? The minimum wage on tipped employees are $15 an hour. Now, everybody says this is a fight I cannot win. All right. What upsets me about this, and what I would love to do, because, I used to talk, I've known people that have made millions and billions. I think the best advice I got was Angela, because I said, I don't understand all this. They said, it's all fancy talk. So just tell them to talk to you like you're in kindergarten, and then you'll get the truth, right? You'll get what they're trying to tell you. So I guess talk to me in kinder talk, because I really would love an economist or someone like you to explain to me how $15 an hour, especially on tipped employees, gives a better quality of life when milk goes up, rent goes up. I have to charge $20 for a hamburger. And now to me, like with inflation, what is that $15? Is it worth as much as the $10 an hour when the prices were down? Or is it worth less because it actually is,
Technical
of
poverty line in
inflation
California.
and cost? And for me, what I've seen is it's sold to help people, and I want to help people. And I'm a working person. My parents were factory workers. Okay. For me, there is no life for middle or lower class. They cannot. I have to charge almost $18 for a Reuben and fries at a Cheers pub. Okay. And I'm barely getting by, and I'm looking at having to raise prices right now. I am dreading raising the prices, but I have minimum wage that just went up, and I have inflation, right? So now I got to look, do I use the credit? Do I charge the credit card fee to people, which is more money, or do I raise the price? Why can't we lower it, at least for tipped employees, so that there's a quality of life? Wouldn't there be a better quality of life for lower and middle class people? They could go out and eat, and, if we could charge less.
Frank, let's come back to your answer after the break here, because I want to give the audience time to hear
Certainly.
this, okay? Everybody out there, buckle up, hold down, because you know what I'm going to do. Stay tuned. We got a lot to go. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, taking our state back. Recall Gavin2020.com, 1-800-222-5222. That's 1-800-222-5222. Donate. Keep us on the air.
Just a prime example of a really big hypocrisy. You don't understand, we're not like other creatures. Rules do not apply to us, we are the leaders.
I love that song.
Let's try that again. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good
Wow.
segment, I think.
I want Frank's voice. That is one awesome voice.
Oh my God. And I love throwing a wrench at Mike, just watching him squirm. That's a lot of fun. So.
Right.
But I don't think we finished our conversation earlier,
No.
going back to what we were talking about before we went to segment. Ellen, did you have any other thoughts or input? We were talking about water, we're talking about power, we're talking about reasons to recall the governor. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there.
Well, my thought was that as we're educating voters now before they get their ballot in just like 3 weeks, not to argue the whole COVID thing, because everybody has their own personal feeling about the COVID, the mask, the vaccination. But if we focus on all of the attributes of why we first wanted to recall Gavin and how he blew all those things up, and then French Laundry, we can throw that one in. But I think it's really important to educate people about not like emotional topics like where we are right now, but the things that he's already done in the past. Like he has a history of making bad decisions, and that we need to really focus on those.
Oh, yeah. I mean, releasing the inmate fire crews on a knee-jerk reaction during COVID to he depopulated the prisons. Oh, hey, wait, I'm going to save money in the prison system. I'm going to depopulate these prisons. I'm going to close 2 prisons. I'm going to close 9 CDC fire crew camps.
During the worst fire season of our state's history.
I'm going to release all of these fire crew, but wait, there's more. There's an ulterior motive to his agenda, because then he can flip around the next year when he did all of that under the radar, and he can go back the next year and make the claim, oh, wait a minute, I'm increasing CAL FIRE's budget by $2 billion to help fire preparedness.
But where's this money coming from?
It's coming from your pocket, my pocket, Ellen's pocket. It's coming from taxpayers. But that $2 billion just transferred from inmate firefighting labor to unionized firefighters.
Cheap labor to expensive labor.
To unionized firefighters, where the next day he had the entire.
Welcome back, everybody, to our.
We'll get there. Are we in now?
We have a Legend of Radio on.
No, we got time.
Just a few more minutes.
False
break,
alarm.
okay? Frank,
Damn it.
answer Angela's question, and for those that went maybe to get a real sandwich at the break, tell her again what it is, because I want to hear your take on what she just said.
Well, why not raise the minimum wage to $100 an hour? You know, what would that do? Right. So policymakers have to be held accountable for this. And many of them don't have any clue about the economics, simple economics. Like Dr. Lapper, for example, pointed this out again on my program this past week. The wrong policies at the wrong time, and it's got to have an impact. And it's heartbreaking to hear, look at that inflation number we got this week, not only the consumer price number, but at the wholesale level, prices at the highest ever registered on an annual basis. So it is very, very serious. And I'm talking to somebody that just paid $22 for 2 cups of yogurt last night. I said, what? How's that even possible? And, oh, yeah, we just raised our prices. So, everything from A to Z is going up. And, the Fed keeps telling us that it's just going to be temporary. But people like Dr. Lapper and others don't think so. Let's hope it will be. But in the meantime, Angela, my heart breaks for you making these tough decisions and serving your great customers and staying in business.
And I think what's very scary to me growing up with inflation is 2 things. Again, the traditional way this schmuck, which is me, was trained. It's like you've got people, you've got rising wages, housing almost out of control, but we'll call that stashed wealth for a lot of people just so they can get out of California. But the interest rate's really low right now. Wait till the Feds bump it up a point or 2.
Yeah.
I mean, then you're really going to see, wouldn't you agree, Frank, kind of?
Yeah. Well, I remember when the prime lending rate was 21.5%.
Yeah.
My father used to call it the crime rate, not the crime rate, but inflation was a very painful thing. And hopefully we won't have to go through that.
Yeah,
Wow.
Gavin needs to lead the state better. Look, I'm not being a very good maitre d'. We're backing up with some calls here. Before we roll again to the top of the hour, Kim from San Diego, how are you doing?
From San Diego.
I knew that.
Hey there.
Hi, Kim. How the heck are you tonight?
I am fabulous tonight. I heard that there's a big rally in San Diego.
There is. And tell us, Kim, where it is and why this rally is. Because I believe, and we're going to get to something very exciting after the break about next Friday's show, but let's talk about tomorrow, Kim. Where are you going to be tomorrow?
Well, there's an assemblyman that's coming down to speak to us tomorrow that's running for governor.
That assemblyman, by the way, whose name we're not going to mention, but he is out at the El Cajon Ronald Reagan Center. And for everybody out there,
that's where it is. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
if
I'm
you
sorry.
want to
Yes.
read a really good book, go out there and research the book. Oren?
Okay.
The book of Gavin Newsom, The Recall of Gavin Newsom. You will find it on our site and in our emails, right? The reality is that for a state to change, it needs new leadership. Again, as an official show sponsored by the PAC, I want to be clear, we endorse nobody for governor, but I will tell you, if tomorrow you out in El Cajon want to go to the Ronald Reagan Center at 10 o'clock, you should go to meet the author of this amazing book, The Recall of Gavin Newsom.
The case to recall the most corrupt governor in America.
I was trying to give you the lead in, Oren, but you disappeared for a second, okay? I try to give you a line, brother. What do you do? Yeah. And that's important to note, that people out there that are in the assembly now have been fighting for us for a very long time. And it's time California really have this change. Angela, in your restaurant, Frank on macroeconomics. Frank, I know you got to go. Everybody out there, KABC is a very lucky station. Well, one, of course, because I'm on it, but more importantly is because Frank is on 5 days a week. Isn't that correct? It's 6 to 7. When people get in their cars, right, after work, and they say, hey, it's not Friday night, but I'm driving home. I'd like to stop at Angela's Place and buy a $27 burger. Listen to what Frank has to say. He's literally, sir, I am honored by having you on our show
Likewise,
tonight.
likewise, Mike. Thank you. Godspeed, and thank you very much for this privilege here this evening.
Thank you very much, sir. And we look forward to having you back again. Remember, so much in the state badly led is about economics, and the mask shutdown we're going to get back to is just another sign our governor doesn't know what we're doing. The music
Frank
is starting.
Motek, everybody.
Frank Motek, a legend in the business. Frank,
Thank you again very, very much. Thank you.
He's going to be signing off. But right now, I'm going to the top of the hour, and you know what I'm going to do. Stand back from your speakers, put the pets under the bed. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry. Recall Gavin2020.com.
Eating at the French Laundry.
Our only
All right, back to where we were.
Yabba dabba dabba do.
Yeah, but do. Thank you, Frank.
What's that?
Oh, I said, thank you, Frank.
Frank is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So back to where we were. We were talking about prisoners released and the worst fire season and firemen.
So I mean, I can go on, and it's really tough. And that's just testimony to how difficult it is to whittle all of this down into 500 words. So basically, the document that we put out is dumbed down for the uninformed voter.
Yeah.
It's not out there for the average recall proponent or the people that are supporting what we're doing. This is for Ted and Betty Birdwatcher who just don't follow politics. They go about their business on a daily basis and they don't know what the hell is going on in their state. So we threw something out there that's going to catch their attention and kind of draw them in and give them something to focus on as far as why it's so important to vote yes on this recall. I could make a prediction, knock on wood, but I don't want to jinx it.
All right.
I'm going to write on a piece of paper somewhere what I think the outcome's going to be, and we'll see how close I am.
Okay.
I'm not a gambling man, but if I were to place a bet today, it would be in our favor. I would never bet against myself. So, Ellen, back at you. Tim, what's going on in your world today, buddy?
There's always the pending question about election integrity. And so we'll bring that up here in every show, I guess. So folks, if you want to know more about election integrity and what you can do, go to eip-ca.com. Get involved with election integrity.
Shar Carter was going to call in tonight. I don't know if she's called in or not. I asked her to, and I told her to make sure that she tells the producers to tell Mike not to leave her on hold this time.
Haha, yes, I've been there before. I know what she's talking about.
Yep. Because last week, I think she called in, and then when we finally had gotten to her, we couldn't hear what she was saying. She could hear us. She was trying to talk to us, but we couldn't hear what she was saying.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, that's tough. You wait for 45 minutes to frickin' get a word in edgewise between Mike and Oren, and then all of a sudden,
whether you like it or not.
like I tell everybody, they've got to have a sharp tongue to cut their way into the conversation.
Get me a machete.
There you go. And I can't hear the station, so I'm gonna count
No,
on you
you're
to.
okay. I got my ears on.
Yep, this is the top of the hour break, so it's a little bit longer than most.
Yeah, yeah.
There's Fidget.
Haha. We got the recall kitty.
You got your recall shirt on too, don't you?
Yep.
Whoop, whoop. Nice. I love it. The Tim Holiday commemorative.
Aha, limited edition.
That's right.
And I'm not talking about me.
You are a limited edition, I'll tell you that much, Tim. But there's so much of you to go around.
Right?
To roll around.
There you
Never leave
go.
home. What's going on?
He probably didn't tell you, but I surprised him. Thursday,
No,
Tuesday.
Tim did tell me you and your sister dropped in on him on the way up. And
Yep.
Spot for
Yeah.
a smorgasbord of
Just to say hi.
RecallGavin2020.com.
We're back.
And we'll leave Fidget's tail. We'll close this segment.
Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Owen Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter.
Bring me in, guy.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our second hour, our second seating, if you will, of Friday nights at the French Laundry. If you missed the first hour, here's some of the things you missed. There's a ballot statement that everybody in the recall put together, that Orrin kind of got everyone's ideas. Again, for everyone out there, Christine, Robin, Susan, Dan, Randy Economy used to be with us. This vast group of people have come together. Angela, we have tonight. The recall is a sum of its parts. And the ballot statement that was put together, Orrin, was 500 words. We've talked about that. We've talked about defeating.
It's just not enough. It's not enough. I'm telling you right now.
There's a whole book we could write on that.
Well, there is a book been written on it. What's it called, Orrin?
It's called the Recall Newsom, the case against the most corrupt governor in America.
And remember, the author of that book will be in El Cajon at the Ronald Reagan Center tomorrow in San Diego area. Go down and meet that state legislature and the author of that book. Get a feel for this process which is happening across the state. Speaking of which, before we're back to our regular menu, next week's show, Orrin, we haven't mentioned this yet, but next week's show is going to be a special one. It may be the first in the history of KABC, so I'm told, as we're going to be doing it live from Chino in front of about 1,000 people. There is a huge rally in Chino. Growing up with inflation is 2 speakers. It costs to get in. It's going to be worth it. There's music. There's a band. Don Dix is hosting it with the Riverside Republican Party. And our show is going to be live from there. First time, I'm told, ever from the history of KABC that work's going to be done on site. The engineers are shaking. The ground will be rumbling. It's going to be fun and exciting. If you can be there live in Chino next Friday, starting at about 5 o'clock, our show comes on at 7. It's going to be something. It's in a huge airplane hangar. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But you know, Angela, a couple things here. I'm proud to have you on the show tonight too.
Thanks, Mike.
First off, Sam wants to tell you, I've gotten all kinds of texts that you were on the show last time, that the video that you did, I think it was back in November, really brought him to almost to tears. And I know Sam, he's not an incredibly emotional guy. It's important, the message and the work that you're doing to get out there. I know we're kind of focused on the mask mandate tonight, but I do want to focus on many things. Stevie from Huntington Beach, it says Hunt Beach. I'm assuming that's Huntington Beach. You want to know, he's got a question for you. Stevie, you're on the air. Welcome to our restaurant.
Yes, thank you for the 2 guests that are running the show. Congratulations on the show, where it's well needed. My father was a restaurateur for 35 years.
Wow.
It's a thankless job. The hours are 16 hours a day, but you know what? You do make money. So sometimes I feel that the restaurateurs do cry wolf, and they're not making money. They're suffering. Well, look at you got into what you wanted to get into, and you are making good money. Okay,
Right.
Everybody's got to serve somebody. I'm a musician. Okay, you got to serve somebody. You know. So what I'm trying to say is that you just don't fall into you have to work your way up. I became a musician and a longshoreman, and I also was a food worker. And I know food worker, it was the toughest job of my life. Okay, I was making $50, $60 a day. Okay, it was chump change, but I kept my mind open, and I became a union longshoreman. Pretty good, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, making huge money. But you know what I'm doing now? I'm working for a job agency, and I do go out there and I show young people of this country and of Southern California that I do work at Dignity Health Center 1 day a week, helping out in the concessions. And they see an older gentleman doing that, and I want to inspire kids to say, yeah, you can't be lazy and expect to make it in life. I'm sorry, you just can't. All right? And you got to serve somebody. All right? Don't be a pussy. Get
Got it. Well, thank you very much. You know
Wow.
we can't use that word on the air. Steve, we appreciate your call and
Yeah,
where
thank
you're
you,
coming from,
Steve.
right?
I just want to comment on that. And Steve, I am, like I said, my mom worked in a bread factory. I worked my way up in the restaurant industry to be able to own my own restaurant. And you're right. There was a day when I was serving and bartending when I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to own my own restaurant and I'm going to make really good money, but I'm going to work really hard because I love it. And I do love what I do. But those days are no longer. Things are a lot different because of decisions that our governor has made, unfortunately. And obviously, we've hit a pandemic. So I do hear where you're coming from, but it is a lot different in the business today.
Well, it is. I think it's a lot different in California in general today.
Yeah.
It's interesting the people that call in like that, gentlemen. And again, Gavin is uniting California against him a bit there. I want to go next to Raul from Highland Park.
Hey, Mike, if we can break in real quick before we go to Raul, I want to dovetail into what Steve had said and what Angela was talking
Yeah,
to.
dovetail away.
And Angela, it's something that a lot of people don't know about me. They focus on my law enforcement career, but I had a life before law, just like I have a life after. I was with my brother a restaurateur.
Wow.
And I had a restaurant and a bar. It was the Delta Driftwood at the Walnut Grove Marina up in Central California. The Delta Driftwood Bar and Grill. And we also had 2 state park concessions, restaurant, deli, hamburger bar at Beals Point and Granite Bay at Folsom Lake in California. And we had 2 mobile catering trucks that we sent around. So
Warren, I got a job for you.
I absolutely know the grind you're talking about. You know, we ran 4 operations. I had the mobile operation, and then we did local catering for large events for Intel and stuff like that. So, you know, I have a little bit more insight as to what we're talking about than I lead into or that I make known publicly. But it is absolutely one of the hardest ever endeavors that I've ever participated in, other than this recall.
Oh my gosh.
You know, trying to scratch a living out of the restaurant business when everybody has their hands in your pocket and in your tail, trying to take a cut off the top. The state was the worst.
Yeah, the worst. But
yeah.
You know what, Warren? I mean, the long hours, the grueling work, it's a passion of love. And anybody that owns a restaurant, they're not complaining about those hours. That's not what the complaint is, because we love what I love what I do. The other day I had to bartend. We had the fight going. We're shorthanded. You know, I do have some back issues, so I end up hurting the next day, but it felt so good to be back behind the bar. I mean, you love what you do.
You just want to serve the
just-
public
Yeah.
and have a sustainable business.
You just want to be able to own a home, drive a decent car, and go to your business and take care of your neighborhood, do fundraisers. You're not doing it because you want to be a millionaire.
Listen, we've got
Nope.
about 2 minutes for a roll. I do want to get roll from Highland Park. And then
Let's
with
go
the
to
Brent
roll.
Car.
But
Oh,
Mike,
yeah.
I want to know what year is your car first?
My car is a 2004. It's, I think, 1 year older than yours,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Okay.
And I drive a 2004 F-250, so we are all in the same
So when we
boat.
talk
Stuck
about
on the road
serving the
together.
So I guess I should say I have friends in low places.
Absolutely.
With whiskey
That's
down,
because I haven't gotten
beer,
new suspension
chase
in a while.
blues
And when you
away.
talk about minimum wage, trust me, the recall pays way less than that. Rule, let's get you in before the break. Gavin's using our money to buy votes.
Oh, thank you, folks. This unscrupulous, I don't want to curse, but, he's using a budget surplus with his taxpayer money to bribe us to vote for him with that absurd vaccine lottery and then that $600 stimulus. But, I don't know if you folks are aware, but when this jackass was mayor, he was encouraging illegal migrants to go up to San Francisco. They wouldn't be molested there. They could live freely amongst, San Francisco. And then that killer, Sada, they moved up there and killed Kate Steinle.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mhm.
And, that happened on July 1st, 2015. And, he was acquitted of that shooting. And then they got him on a firearm, being a felon and possession of a firearm. And then they acquitted him on that. So he got off on both charges and a manslaughter and murder charges. And I believe that Newsom has blood on his hands because he was encouraging illegal.
Well, that is not the first death or not the only death that we can lay at Newsom's feet. Gavin Newsom released a prisoner early from state prison, and he went home early, unexpected, and tortured and murdered his 2-month-old son in San Joaquin County. So,
What?
there is a long path of destruction, death, and mayhem at this governor's feet.
And I think it's important, Raul, you bring up an amazing point, and I think these situations we're talking about with Gavin releasing 72,000 prisoners, I think 22,000 are felons. And you're right, Raul, he's using our money.
No, they're all felons. And Mike, what you're trying to talk to is of these 76,000 inmates that this governor has pledged to release early, 20,000 of them are they're sentenced to life without parole because their crimes were so heinous that the jury found them guilty and the judge sentenced them to a sentence that they would never walk among us freely again. But this governor is circumventing that system, and he's imposing his own sense of justice, and he's re-victimizing Californians once again.
And I think the figures are so incredible. They're hard to get your arms around. As we flood our state, to Raul's point, sometimes with people that are taking jobs away from, let's be clear here, citizens, adding to the homeless problem, flooding our streets with criminal. I didn't get the chance to say before we roll the break, I want to add to this that people that come into our state that we can't take care of, that shouldn't be here, prisoners that are released from jail that shouldn't be released, all add to the problem of homelessness increasing on a huge number, by the way, about 6.8%. That's 7% on a really big number, or about another probably 25, 30,000 people a year that each year that Gavin's been in office. It's sad the state of California is in, and it's very sad how Gavin continues to push the problem forward. Listen, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, a lot more show to go. Friday nights at the French Laundry. I feel a little somber here, but we have to get this done, California. We have to get this governor out of office.
Even pardon in luck. Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donated? Sir, we saw you at a party. It wasn't me. Eating at the French Laundry. It wasn't me. You even had the clam chowder. It wasn't me. Sir, we got you on camera.
Well, I'll tell you what, you want to get my dander up, you just talk about the inmates that this governor has released and the releases that are to come and the damage and destruction that we have waiting for us when they get out is unquestionable. I put many of these people in prison. They should stay there. They are broken human beings and they should never walk among us freely again.
And they're adding to the homelessness problem. They're adding to all of the problems, homelessness, health.
Increased spike in crime, homelessness, you know, these homeless camps and communities that are springing up in our communities. You know, where do they go after hours? You know, they go into the neighborhoods and they forage through your cars. They forage through your trash cans. They forage through your yard. You know, unlock doors. They know where to go to get the handouts. And, you know, it's just unconscionable what's happening. And I am not unsympathetic to the homeless population in our state. And I can go on a long time about this. We must have compassionate enforcement with our laws, compassionate enforcement, but letting these people out, when I say letting them out, he's kicking them out of an environment where they have access to medical care, clothing, food, housing, counseling, education, and job training. I've talked to a lot of people who've told me, hey, you know, I'm for Governor Newsom. I'm against what you're doing. And by the end of the conversation, they have been swayed into my direction because these people, this one gentleman, Antonio.
We're back.
Damn it. We'll come back to Antonio later.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant. We talk about California politics and mainly about Gavin Newsom. The statistics Orange just gave us are sombering, and I want everybody out there to really think about the direction that this state is going. We've covered already the fact that just how people feel about California in relation to other states has dropped from 5th to 35th, 30 spots in just the years Gavin has been in office. And how do you think they're going to feel more as the mask mandate comes, more suppression, more homeless on the streets, more prisoners being let out of jail? Listen, everybody out there, remember what our show, what we call Gavin 2020 is about, and why we ask you to donate each week. We have to
Mike, am I online?
Are you online?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. I have a point to make about the release of prisoners in our state, and it's pertinent to this conversation. This governor isn't just releasing prisoners back out onto the street. He's kicking them out. He's booting them from a secure environment where they have access to a lot of things that they wouldn't have access to out on the street. They have access to shelter, clothing, food, education, job training, counseling, medical care, and he's cutting them loose from all of those services and turning them loose out onto the street where they have access to none of that. But they have a tent, a shanty, a makeshift camp that they put up on the side of the road somewhere in California. And it's not a compassionate or humanitarian way of dealing with this crisis. And it's really a travesty what he's imposing, not just on the free population that live in these communities, but on these people who he is releasing without any of the means or ability to fend for themselves. And that's where the real travesty lies. These people wander the streets, they forage through trash cans, they forage through our neighborhoods, they forage through our cars, they, just trying to eke out a living wherever they can find it and deal with their addictions without any means or ability to fend for themselves. He's removed them from the services that we normally would offer them to help them through this time. I've talked to a lot of people. Antonio, I don't know if he's listening tonight, but he has in the past, a 4-time convicted felon who at first, when I talked to him, was against the recall, but after speaking with him at length, he realized he earned his GED while in custody, while he had nothing else to think about or focus on. And he got job training while in custody. And then he took that experience and turned it into a life-changing event where he is now a business owner, and he's out there and a productive citizen in our community. And these people that are out on the street that have been removed from the system no longer have that resource available to them. And that lies squarely at the governor's feet, and the weight of the burden that they share are on his shoulders.
Well, I think that's really part of the problem here. The governor has no plan for individuals, no plan for the state. And I'm going to go on a little rant here too, Orrin, backing up what you said. It amazes me because they don't care about California. This is going to have been the theme when we started this. They don't care about these individuals. We talk about LA mask mandate, right? And we'll get to all the callers line up here in a second because I know the lines are really lighting up. Orrin's hit a hot button here. But one thing that really ticks me off too, just to add to the pile, we announced a mask mandate in LA County. 1 week after Garcetti goes, I'm out of here. I'm not even finishing my term. I'm going to India because the India needs me. Dude, You have a year left on your term, and you've made Los Angeles with Gavin Newsom in cahoots more of a pit, and you're out of here. Really?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom immediately, before he came into office, registered for the URL for president. Camille, the list goes on and on, Orrin. They don't care about these individuals, right?
I know for a fact they don't, because when my video went viral, I had people from all over the world calling me. They didn't call me. Nobody called to say, hey, how are the businesses doing? Can we get you guys together? Nothing. The mayor of my city, I had people from DC calling me. The mayor from my city just put a little blip in a paper that said, well, I'm so sorry for Miss Marsden and her staff that they have to comply. They didn't even send a representative down. Nothing.
They don't care. Orrin, you've been rude to a guest and you didn't even know, but she said you asked her to call in. Shar from Monterey Park. Orrin told you to call in. Tell us why.
Hey, this is Shar from Monterey. Beautiful Monterey. I don't know where Monterey Park is.
Oh, it says Monterey Park on the screen, but I'm glad you're in Monterey actually, because it's way more pretty up there.
And it's freezing cold here. But anyway, the reason I called in, I want to make it very, very clear to all the volunteers and the chair people, etc. We are at the tail end of this exhausting recall after over a year now, getting the petitions and signatures, etc. And I want to tell you, a lot of our volunteers don't even know what the date is. And I want to make it very clear that we need to be in every voter registrar's office checking every single ballot. I am working with Election Integrity Project. And we're going to get over 100 volunteers, and we're already up to 50. And we're going through a training program. I don't know if you guys know about it. There are 2 videos. And you know what I discovered? I've been in politics for years. I've never done poll watching. My husband ran for state assembly 3 times, and I've never done poll watching. But do you know that there are specific laws that when a volunteer goes into that election office, there's certain things that we can do and certain things that we can't do, and certain things we have not been doing for years. And the EIP videos, we're going through training the first 2 weeks in August in Monterey County. And there are laws that are specific to the people that volunteer that we can bird dog about what they're doing illegally, and we write them up. Now, if you go on EIP-CA.com, you can see Linda, what is her last name?
Linda Payne.
Anyway, yeah, Linda Payne has done a great job, and you can read all the cases. Actually, there are a lot of lawsuits going on, but there is a form to fill out. It's called a confidentiality form. You mail it in, and then your chairman, you should have a chairman in each of the 58 counties for EIP. It's very, very important.
Char, we're gonna go to break here. Tell us that website again. EIP.
EIP-CA.com.
Right. It's Election Integrity Project. That is probably one of the most important calls of the night. Thank you very much. And the reason I want to say this before we roll the break, LA Times did an article on this, and Char is absolutely right. We have rights. The article they did said, well, some of the registers are annoyed. There's a difference between them being annoyed and us exercising our rights in an election. People have to trust the system. What a great call. Election integrity, we do work alongside them. I want to be clear. It's time to take our state back because it has to be done. It's got to be done. And that's what we're doing. And you're doing it now. It's ready, hold back, stand back, because it's our state. Friday nights at the French Laundry. It's KABC. Recall Gavin2020.com. Give us a few bucks, keep us on the air.
It's important to follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma.
AM 790.
Wow, that's a fun song.
Oh boy, don't get me started on the inmate releases.
All right, so let's swing things a little different direction.
Who put a quarter in Oren?
No. Because they don't like change. Anyway.
That's nice, Tim. Nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Out. I like that.
Out of thin air.
Yep.
So I left a comment on one of the groups that I post to this in the Midwest here in the United States. And this holds true if people think about it. And I'll tell a little something about it. If California goes, so does the nation, is the comment that I left. And I've lived all throughout the United States. I lived in Maine. Where did the garlic come from? Here in California, in the city where I live in, actually. Where did the flowers come from? Well, one city over in Watsonville.
Yep.
Let's see, I was over in Texas for a little while. A lot of the produce came from San Juan Bautista. There's so much produce that this state produces. Yeah.
3/4 of all of the strawberries produced worldwide are right there in Watsonville.
Yeah.
Wow. Worldwide.
So think about that, folks. If California goes, so does the nation.
Well, and I think you have a wonderful clip of Gavin sitting down at a recent interview where he says exactly that.
Yeah.
So, and on that note, I need that clip.
Yeah.
So at some point in the next day or two, I need that one clip that you have of Gavin being interviewed and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter what party is in power in California. This is the direction we're going, period. And it was, very telling as to what their agenda is and the control that they have over both parties.
Yeah. So I have a pending question sitting here. Tell me
Okay.
why aren't any more assemblymen speaking like Kevin Kiley and Jim Gallagher?
James Gallagher, because they are few and far between. That, you know, they are not cut from the same cloth as all the other assemblymen or legislators. And, you know, they actually have a vision of where California is going and what needs to be done to get us there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'd like to jump into this real quick.
Go for it, Ellen.
Right
Jump
now,
in,
we
feet
need
first, Ellen.
Yeah, well, right now is the time we need to be looking for candidates to run for 2022. So, okay, so they're great assemblymen, but why don't we have more? Because we need to invite and we need to mentor people to run for those positions. And now's the time to encourage people to do that. Businessmen, people, school teachers, retired folk. I mean, we need to encourage people to get into the race so that we would have nice and great people like Kevin and James.
And you have a wonderful gentleman in your area who I would love to encourage and continue to run. He's got a great mind and a wonderful vision of California and where he'd like to go. Todd Cotta. And Ellen, give us a little bit of background. I know you know him and know of him. No?
Yeah, Todd Cotta owns the Kings Gun Center, and he has run for office in the Kings County area. And he is a retired sheriff. And
we're back
he's
on.
a retired sheriff deputy or sergeant, just like I was.
Yeah.
California with Executive Chef Orrin Heatley.
All right, we'll get back to Todd Cotta when we come back.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant. I want to catch up on a couple things. The table's back up here. Remember, tomorrow in El Cajon at 10 o'clock, there is a rally. Go to it at the Ronald Reagan Center in San Diego. It's very important. That's El Cajon in the San Diego area. There are rallies up and down the state, gatherings, meetings everywhere. I'm told online there's 3 in Santa Clara tomorrow. Go to the Facebook groups at recallgavin2020.com. Find them. You need to get out and participate. Go to the people in your area, distribute the door hangers, distribute the trifolds, get out there. We have to do everything we can to remind people about this election. And I want to be clear on something here, very, very clear. We are going to win this election if we, the population that are upset with Gavin, get out there and vote. And that means the election isn't necessarily September 14th. It starts August 14th when the mail-in ballots go out. That's why our team, and Orrin helped put it together, who put the ballot statement out, we had to get it in today. It goes to press very soon, I believe in about 6 days. It's going to be mailed out.
August 6th.
August 6th. That's not very long for it goes to press and gets mailed out to be there 30 days ahead of time. The election is starting, right, Orrin? Sooner than you think.
It is. I'll tell you what, folks, the hours and the days are going to drag on, but the weeks and months are going to fly by. This is going to be over and done with, and the decisions that we make right now will affect the future of California for generations to come. We can't afford to sit this one out. You have to get involved. You have to get engaged. You have to get out the vote, and you have to make sure that the people around you know what to do.
And we're touring the state. Orrin's doing it. I'm doing it. We're going up and down. We talk about this rally in Chino next week, the one in San Diego. I was up this week in San Francisco. I was in Siskiyou County. I'm literally all over the state. I was in Santa Monica last night.
Mike, we are the new steering committee of California.
Yeah, we are.
Angela has her hands firmly on the wheel, driving the state in the right direction. We are steering this state around, and we're going to head it out of danger and into clear water, and we're going to drive it forward.
And David,
Amen.
you asked online a very good question. Why more assembly people like Kylie and Gallagher don't speak up? Why more politicians don't? Because the reality is, I just think most of them just don't care about us average Californians. And Newsom is.
Well, and a lot of them are beholden to their donors.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
absolutely.
there is one assemblyman out there who is not beholden to their donors. I can't mention those names right now, but you know what? It takes somebody to branch off from the swamp,
Listen,
to swim out of the swamp and to do things their own way. And we are changing politics in California. Business as usual here in this state is over and done with as you once knew it.
and it takes guts and it takes fortitude every city that we go to. I want to bring in our recall groupie tonight, calling from the Bay Area, because Magdalena, tell
Magdalena!
me about the guts and fortitude that you did today as you
I
texted
waited
me
it
about.
out. You're worth it.
We knew that. No, tell us. San Francisco.
Okay, let me tell you what's going on in San. You want to know what's going on in San Francisco? People are tired of this nonsense.
Yeah, I was
They're
up there
tired
this week. I
of
was
possibly a
amazed
mask
by it.
mandate here. I get on my bus. I'm getting handled by a muni driver, but I don't wear my mask perfectly. People in San Francisco are tired of all this nonsense. They do not like what's happening. FYI, I've been in touch with people all day chatting with them. They are tired of this stuff. This is just another shutdown to come on. We're tired in San Francisco with this stuff too, believe it or not.
Wow, that's great news.
No, it's true. And I'm going to
That's
back up. I
great
was up there
news.
this week with Eric, and every cab driver that we talked to, every restaurant owner. You know what? San Francisco, it's not a matter, again, of being liberal or being conservative. It's just a matter
We
of
don't know
being
what he is right
Californian.
now because we don't know what he is, remember?
Right.
It doesn't say on the
Oh, that's right.
That's right. We don't know what he is.
Listen, Magdalena, thank you so much. You know, we're going to have another major rally up there. I forget the date, but we'll keep everybody posted. I want to say it's being scheduled for the 24th. You should go. And
Yeah.
Joel, we'll get everybody together. God bless you. Thank you. Where do we find the recordings of all our shows? Tell us, Magdalena.
What you need to do is just go Google Magdalena Recall Radio. You'll get my Twitter page. You'll see the link and punch it. That's all you have to do.
Punch
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm not
Google
sure we're gonna get Angela to go back to San Francisco.
I
Last
was
time
just
she
gonna
was up there with you and I, Mike.
Oh, you had to
her
bring
car-
that up, didn't you, Oren?
You read my mind. I was like, Magdalena, can you protect my car windows while I'm there?
Her
I'll try,
Her
sweetheart.
2005 Honda, what is it? 2005 Honda or whatever got smashed.
Hey, Oren, how about
By the
we
way-
flyers this
hey, by
time?
the way, I got your envelopes and I'm passing around. I got the envelope today.
Good.
Recall Gavin. I've been passing all these restaurant people and everything. So just let you know, I got all that information today.
Yep, you're doing a heck of a
Okay.
job. You get triples out, door hangers, right, signs, and passing out
Thank you.
envelopes to bring us in. God bless you, Magdalena, for all the work that you put in every day. Sorry, I
And
didn't
God
get to
bless
see
all
you.
of you.
All right, thank you so much. Listen, Angela, I'll commit right now on the air. You go up there, we're gonna fly you.
Ah.
Okay?
I'm there. I would have drove in
We'll
my Honda
fly you
Pinata
room,
again.
board, and food.
That's
You know
right.
what? Here's the thing, and I'm glad that we segued into this. First of all, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all the business owners and for all the volunteers, for everybody that showed up at the Pineapple and signed the recall. I have not gotten paid to do any of the interviews I'm doing. And I do it and I stay because I have been here 29 years and I love the people of California and I love Los Angeles with all my heart. And I am telling you, I have learned by accident from experience that one person can make a big difference. So everybody that's out there, if you're from another state, please donate to the recall effort because we have to keep this on people's minds. You know, it's sunny California. We get lost in the sun. We see busy lines and people get apathy and they don't really realize what's going on if it hasn't knocked on their front door yet, but it will. So please donate. Please keep them going. And anybody out there that's listening, from the bartender to the server to the mom that can't afford gas to drive Grubhub to feed her kids, please go out and vote. And please don't give up hope. just know if you go out and you check that recall, that this is going to happen. And this is the only way that I could say I'm not just a talker, I'm a doer. And that's why I got involved, because I can talk all I want, but if I'm not doing actions to try to save my state, then who am I? What am I made of? And that's everybody out there. You do count. You count, don't give up, and don't, when you're talking to other people, give them hope and get them out there to vote. We just got to get out there and vote. And I don't care who you vote for. I really don't at this point. Just hit recall.
And that's the amazing
Just
part.
vote responsibly. And Mike, I think that you and I have something in common with Angela, because I don't think you and I have been paid for any speaking arrangements that we've ever done anywhere throughout the state either. Angela, we're right there with you. We are all non-paid volunteers. We're doing this out of the love of California. This is a labor of love, and we're driving this thing forward, and we're just trying to do what we can with what we have on a shoestring budget.
It is, yes. And I think that's what really happens when California gets to the point, Norm, you said this many a time, when ordinary citizens have to step up. We have to do something, and that's what the recall has been all about. Listen, before we've got 2 minutes, I'd like to go to Brent from Los Angeles. Brent, you're saying Gavin knows exactly what he's doing, just not to our benefit. Talk to us.
Oh, yeah. Well, hi, Oren, Mike, and Angela.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah, I love you guys, but I'm concerned by you saying Gavin has no plan, doesn't know what he's doing, or that he's acting like
I know where you're going with
fool.
this, I think.
You are giving Gavin the benefit of the doubt of being a fool and not being a fascist, an anarchist, and a destroyer by design.
Yeah.
He is masking us not for science and safety, but for state submission, surrender, and socialism. And his progressive plan is to pillage and plunder the wealth of California, as critical theory Marxists have preached for half a century.
Well, that's a good point. We probably should say not a plan to our benefit. How does that
But
sound?
Brett, I have not read the book on Marxism. I think I should. Isn't there a term, I have been told, a useful idiot?
Yeah.
So is he a useful idiot, or does he know what he's doing?
No, he knows. All of these, the heads, the leaders, they know what they're doing. They're sociopaths, and they're very good at it. And they act dumb and they act naive, but they're just killers.
I think, it's interesting because he's been called a narcissist, and I think he is the ultimate. Again, all you could say about Gavin, you got to admit he's got good hair, but you've got a really good point, my friend. The reality is good hair, bad governor. Remember, and I want to bring up this point, Brent, thank you for your call before we go to break. I want to bring up an important point here that Oren brought up kind of backhanded. Look, the reality is 12.5 million people voted in the last gubernatorial election. 18 million people 2 years later voted in the presidential election. Get your posterior out there and vote yes. Los Angeles, you really don't want it happening in your streets? You want to go to Angela's restaurant and pay $12 for a burger and not have to dodge things along the way? You want to be able to speak freely, not wear a mask? Get out there and vote. Vote yes. This is your chance to take California back. You have to participate. I am so tired of hearing people say this, that, and the other. We have given you, we in the recall, everybody, Christine, Dan, Susan, united 2.1 million people have given you an opportunity to take your state back. It's Recall Gavin 2020.com. Friday nights at the French Laundry. Stay tuned. We got 15 minutes left. It's worth listening to.
How any violation might kill a grandma. Why you do what you want, even pardon in laws. Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donated.
Donated.
ABC dependable traffic right now. 10 freeway eastbound before the
Oh, yeah.
freeway interchange is
So they keep getting feedback.
Yeah, I'm
And
hearing,
what?
yeah, I'm hearing that as well. And it's not from, I don't believe it's from.
I got nothing though. The phone's muted. There's no noise in the room. There's nothing that is looped through the computer or anything.
Right.
I have no idea where the feedback is coming from unless these have some sort of a mic system in them.
That might be a possibility, but I did get a little bit because I forgot to mute you.
That's dependable traffic. I'll let you turn in,
So
James.
once I muted you, you're fine. But I also heard some coming from when Mike was talking, which was very unusual.
Well, you've got to mute me every time because they're cutting me off and I can't talk.
All right.
So,
Well, I'm learning that really quick here.
okay.
That the boss forgets.
So I don't know where that's coming from, but hopefully we'll fix that because it's causing a problem. It's causing a problem.
Look out.
So where were we? I know we were in a heated discussion before we left.
Don't make me put
You
a
wanted-
corner.
You wanted to learn about Todd Cotta.
Yes.
Todd Cotta, yeah.
Todd Cotta, who is a business owner in Hanford, California, is what has been a farmer, a deputy sheriff, and he owns the gun store, the King's Gun Center, which was huge in collecting recall signatures, both recall efforts. He's an
Big time.
NRA pistol instructor, and he's an excellent one. He's helped me improve my techniques. So he ran in 2020 for District 32. He lost to Rudy Solis, but the last time I spoke with him at the dinner that we were at, that fundraiser dinner, he is running for Board of Supervisors for Kings County. So, you know, when you don't win the first time out the gate, you just continue to work on people knowing you. You keep working on getting a position. So he's getting there.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm reminded constantly online when the chat, remember, we are on Facebook Live, etc., of all the rallies and things going on. There is a big one in Anaheim Hills tomorrow. There are ones in Santa Clara tomorrow. There's the one in El Cajon tomorrow. We could spend the whole show and not mention them all. The reality is the state of California has become aware of what's going on, and we need to make sure that we get people out to vote. I literally every day and night, and I think the same with Orrin, have been to speaking engagements, been to women's Republican clubs, been to general non-party clubs. I speak in the Democrats. I spend all day on the phone. It's awareness. That's what this show is about. The reality is we need to keep everybody aware in the state. They have to vote. They have to vote yes. We have to make a stand, California. I want to go to Susan from Santa Monica. She's been on hold about a half hour. Susan, you want to speak about Gavin and illegal aliens? You're on the air Friday nights at the French Laundry.
Thank you, Mr. Netter, for taking my call. I am from the Bay Area, just like that other lady was. And there was the Bologna family in 2009. And Gavin Newsom, when he was mayor, and Connie Harris, when she was the DA, aided and abetted illegal alien Edward Ramos, who slaughtered that family. So I agree with the last caller. He is a sociopath. I've served him. I've worked banquet functions. I know what he's like. The guy is a sociopath. Santa Monica, which leads me, you said on the air rather, that you were in Santa Monica yesterday. So I don't have the ability to go to these far-flung places. So I was really hoping that you guys would be on the west side. I didn't think that you would be on the west side, because it's so People's Republic of Santa Monica. But if you are, I'm on public transportation. If you could continue or let us know, at least on the air, if you're going to be on the west side or nearby, I'd love to be able to go to one of these rallies.
Oh, I'd love to have you there. Yeah. It's hard to keep up with them all. I was on the west side. I was over, if you Google the name Eric Early, you'll find a lot of events there. Go to recallgavin2020.com. I'm kind of working in tandem with him, the gentleman that wrote the book. We're kind of, what we're doing is kind of being economy of scale of these. we really do our best to keep everybody posted where we are. But I appreciate you. Oren, do you want to comment? I mean, are you amazed what
I
Cheetah said
do.
about the
And
Golden
actually-
State Killer being released? I mean, how is that
Absolutely.
even fathomable?
And I would actually like to have a conversation offline with this caller. So if we can give her, you know, I'm going to give you my number out over the air if I have to, but if we can get your number and I can call you back, I'd like to have a conversation with you.
Hold on, Oren. Don't break any laws.
Very good.
Okay, 1 second here. What I'm going to do is Susan, we've got your number. Doesn't matter how we got it. And we want to call you and talk to you one-on-one. Thank you very much for our call before we run to the end of the show.
God bless
God bless
everybody.
you.
God bless California. God bless America. And thank you for your call.
Thank you very much, Susan.
Thank you. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
You bet you will. Everybody out there, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to say this. Angela, I just wanted to give you 2 or 3 minutes. I haven't as much time tonight to give you as
I
I
feel
wanted
like
to.
I've talked a lot, but thank you.
No, seriously, just to tell people, right? We all know what you've done with the video. We all know how people feel about you. We know you speak up. But looking forward, going in the next, really how you felt when this mask mandate came along, and you and I talked yesterday about it.
Yeah.
But I think what I really want to get out of you in the next minute, if you will, how do you really feel about your government, the state of California, not looking out for you?
It really is something I never believed I would experience. So like I said, I never really was involved, and I take responsibility for that because I just always thought, it's America and our government is always going to be there for security, safety, things like that. I always go back and forth. Like, I don't want to sound like, oh God, I went off the deep end, but it does feel deliberate. And it feels like being in a bipolar relationship with somebody, and you never know what you're going to get the next day. And the anxiety levels it's crushing. I thought this was going to be my retirement. This is 12 years in my business. I thought, wow, I am going to have this great pub. I enjoy it. I enjoy the community, and I'm going to have a nice life, buy a house, maybe do some auditions or whatever, what people move here for, right? To live out my passions. And I feel like I've literally been in a war, in literally combat war. I always say it's the Hunger Games. I feel like I'm literally living the Hunger Games. And then I turn outside of myself and I turn to my fellow business owners. And I think that's what gives me hope to keep going on and fighting for them. Because if everybody bails out of California, what's going to happen to California?
Yeah, and that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but it's good we can do something about it. Angela, thank you so much.
Thank
as always,
you.
for doing the
Thank
show
you
tonight.
so
We're going
much.
to have you on a lot more.
Thank you.
Oren, you got about 60 seconds left. But what I'd like you to comment on, if you don't mind, it's how kind of the fusion, not being facetious at all, of all these issues comes together because Gavin, you talk about crime tonight, you talk about small business, you talk about mask mandates, economy, or haven't they all been brought together under the recall?
They have, we haven't even touched on water and drought, power supply. There are so many other topics that we haven't even touched on.
Yeah.
Tonight.
The senior issue.
Oh, absolutely. And, this governor doesn't make decisions for himself. He surrounds himself with people who give him bad advice, and he makes bad choices given the information that they feed him. And he doesn't make any decisions for himself. He's bad for California, bad for us. He's bad for business. And people are fleeing California. We lost a congressional seat because of his mismanagement. And Toyota, Oracle, Hewlett Packard, Charles Schwab, they've all packed up and left. Elon Musk packed up and left. We need to make California a place worth calling home again and return the luster to the Golden State and bring the Golden State back out of the gutter.
Absolutely. And Oren, I got to tell you, to add to it today, Disneyland announced they're transferring 2,000 workers to Florida. Listen, everybody out there, as we come to the end of our round tonight, there is hope. There is hope because we can recall this governor. Again, I'm going to tell you tomorrow, go to El Cajon in San Diego if you can. Tomorrow, go to Anaheim if you can and see the events I'm at. Go to our website. If you can't find something, send an email to info@recallgavin2020.com.
And just like the document that we turned in today, the 500-word argument to recall this governor, this show, 2 hours long, is not nearly long enough to make all the arguments that we have to make to get this.
It's too much. Listen, everybody out there, next week we're going to be live from Chino. God bless you. We're all Californians. It's our damn state. It's time we kept it, took it back from the government, which is keeping it from us. Friday nights at the French Laundry. Next week, live from Chino. Recall Gavin2020.com.
It wasn't me. Eating at the French Laundry. It wasn't me. You even had the clam chowder. It wasn't me. Sir, we got you on camera. It wasn't me. You said we can't be super spreading. It wasn't me. So I missed my brother's wedding. It wasn't me. You jailed the barber for his.
This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee, California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Over 1424-018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Cloud 39 LLC, DGB Ranch. The home of Dan Bongino.
I'm telling you, Mike is the spice in the soup.
Oh, definitely. Glad to have him.
I love that guy.
Oh, yeah.
All clear, everybody?
All clear. Sounding good.
Very good, Mike. You did well. Proud of you.
I'm running
man.
out of voice as the week goes on.
Well,
Do you like it or
have
not?
an important engagement tomorrow. God bless you, my friend. You did well. This is every week it just builds on the last week.
It's good. Thank you. But you had some clean feedback tonight. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I know. You know what? I don't know where the hell that's coming from, but Tim promised to mute me every time I go off. So maybe that won't happen because I'll take my earphones off. I'm in the room. I can't hear shit. There's nothing going on here. And I'm sorry I said shit, folks. But don't know where that comes from. I do not know where that comes from.
I could hear it through my headsets. That's why you said.
Well, that's why I push this away, and you know, I turn my earphones down so my earphones aren't broadcasting out to the computer microphone. I think what I need to do is get myself a microphone that'll feed all that out.
Anyway, went pretty well. Everybody out there, I'm going off the air. God bless you all. If you're watching out there on Facebook, remember, there's lots to do. There's lots to do. We have 65, 70 days left. It doesn't matter. You have to get out there every day and do something like I'm doing. All the people we mentioned tonight, we'll never get to them all, like Ellen's doing, everybody you see on the panel. We have to get out there. This is California's last stand.
We have 4 weeks left until these mail-in ballots hit the street, and we have to get out there. And Ellen, you're working hand in glove with Rescue California, getting the walkers, getting the call takers going. And God bless you for everything you're doing. And thank you for joining us tonight on the call.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night.
I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night now.
Good night, Tim. Good night, Mike. Mike, tell Angela I said good night.